Hi and welcome to my channel. I hope that everybody is enjoying the beginning of this brand new decade. Thank you so much for joining me here. As part of my New Year's kind of goals, I try not to call them resolutions because I never ever stick to resolutions, but I like to call them more goals and things that I want to aspire to, which is technically a resolution, but never mind. One of my aims is to cut right down on things that I buy, particularly right now. Me and my fiance are getting married this year, oh my god, and we're also doing a lot of work to the house as well. So I just want to be a little bit more of a savvy consumer, a savvy shopper, and to be honest, I would like to use up what I already have. One of the things that I've just gone completely crazy for over the past probably 4 years, actually probably since I started watching YouTube, is makeup. I love makeup so much, but particularly eyeshadow palettes. So I went through a phase of just consistently buying eyeshadow palettes, and I'd use them and then my head would get turned by a different one, and then I'd end up buying that and kind of forgetting almost about the ones that I've already got. So this year I want to stop that. I would love to do a no buy, honestly. That would really be a big achievement if I managed not to buy any more eyeshadow palettes, but I'm not going to hold myself to that. I am just going to do my best to use up as much as what I already have. So this morning I went through my entire makeup collection and I pulled out a lot of my old eyeshadow palettes, ones that I'm currently using and ones that I even kind of forgot that I had. So it's been really quite nice to shop my own stash, and I've also picked out a few palettes that I have never used and that I am unlikely to use because I've already got a lot of those colours in different palettes, and I would like to donate those palettes probably to women's shelters. I've been doing a little bit of research and I've seen that just the basic items are the ones that are the most in demand. So things like mascaras, neutral palettes, kind of just very day-to-day wearable makeup, and if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. That's what people want. So I've got a few of those which I will show you as well. If you want to join me on this kind of minimalism, shop my own stash journey that I've got going on right now, then I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and let's do this together. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to show you all of the palettes that I've pulled out of my collection, and these are the ones that I'm going to be using up. My first two palettes have a really special place in my heart because these were the ones that I really gravitated towards when I was first starting to get into makeup, and they're so easy and accessible, and I also really loved the brand. I still do like the brand, but I was obsessed back in the day, and these are my MAC palettes. Now these are so wearable, I love them. We have the warm neutrals palette over here, which is absolutely gorgeous, and then I've got the cool neutrals palette here. So just a disclaimer for this video, you are going to see a lot of neutrals palettes. It's just something that I love. So these are the two from MAC. I love these two palettes because they've got a really nice balance between the mattes and the shimmery shades, and the shimmery shades aren't completely in your face, which is another thing that I really love about them. I think that MAC palettes, particularly ones like this, are great for anybody who's just dipping the toe into makeup and working out what colours suit them and what colours match. And these are so wearable. I've used them so much, and they're definitely great for day-to-day looks. I think around about 2017 I was completely obsessed with Tarte palettes. Now I have quite a few Tarte palettes in my collection from that said obsessive phase, and this is them. I have the Tarte lip palette, and that's this one. Honestly, Tarte eyeshadows smell amazing. They almost smell like vanilla-y chocolatey. Every time I open up one of these pans, they smell just gorgeous. So this one, as I mentioned, is the Tarte lip palette, and it's so pretty. I think that the formulas for Tarte eyeshadows are amazing. They are so buttery. They go on the skin really nicely, and they're not patchy, I don't think. I think they blend really well. This one is definitely definitely one of my favourite Tarte palettes, and it's the In Bloom palette, and that's what it looks like. I've had a little bit of a fatality over here, but the colours are gorgeous. Again, the formula is so soft and it goes on really nicely, so I love it. Smells divine. And then I ended up straying away from my neutrals and I went for this one. It's called the Make Believe in Yourself, and it's more inspired by, I don't know, more colourful, kind of almost fairy tale, glittery, just colourful vibes, and that's what this one looks like. It's a little bit like a unicorn palette, and it's so nice. There's far more shimmers in it. In fact, there's only one matte shade in this entire palette, so I would definitely be reaching for another palette if I wanted a different matte shade to this one. But the shimmers in here are stunning, especially like this icy blue and this bronze colour and the purple colour down here. So that's something that I reach for mainly if I'm going out, but I've not used it for absolutely ages, so I'm glad that I've reminded myself that I've got that one. And then finally, this is the Tarte Pro palette. This one pretty much consists of matte shades, and they've got some absolutely gorgeous shades like this mod lovely raspberry colour over here, and some other really nice kind of oranges and purples, really deep rich colours. And then it's got these shimmers down the side. I like it because I've not really got anything else like it in my collection, and it can be used for so many different looks. I do really enjoy it, and again, I forgot that I had this one. Probably the brand that turned my head when it came to palettes away from my little mini Tarte obsession is definitely Anastasia Beverly Hills. I bought these two palettes, the Soft Glam palette and the Modern Renaissance palette, and I absolutely love them, like, and I still love them to this day. I think the texture of these shadows is one of the best. This one, I'm sure that many of you are aware, is the Soft Glam palette. I love those really warm tones, but then the shimmers in this palette are really lovely as well, particularly the gold colours and the rose pink and sultry colours as well. Out of these two, I think the Modern Renaissance palette just kind of pips it to the post really. I love the Bon Fresco shade there, I've used that quite a lot, and just the other colours in the palette are so lovely. They're so warm, and I don't think that I will ever get fed up of this palette. The only criticism that I've got of these palettes is the material that they're made out of. I just think that they run a risk of getting so dirty. I've already got a few fingerprints on this because it's more like a suedey kind of almost felty kind of feel to the packaging. It does get so dirty, particularly if you've been doing your makeup and you've got any makeup on your hands. That's the only criticism that I can make at these two palettes. I did actually go out and purchase the Subculture palette, and I really didn't like that one, and I ended up gifting that to one of my friends because I'd hardly used it, but I don't know, there was something about the blend of that palette that I found really difficult to use, so yeah, I ended up gifting that, but these two are still a firm favourite. Please do excuse the huskiness of my voice, by the way. I've had this sore throat for ages now and it just won't shift. So the next palette that I am going to talk about is this one. Now, this is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and like the Tarte palettes, this one smells gorgeous as well. It's got that same kind of chocolatey lovely smell, but I have hit pan on this palette, and honestly I will probably repurchase it when the time comes because I've got so much use out of it. It's very neutral again, and it's got some really gorgeous buildable shades in it as well, particularly the milk chocolate and the semi-sweet shades I'm obsessed with. I think that's a really good buildable neutral. And then if I want to mix it up a little bit, I love this cherry cordial shade down here and the gold, and then this shade over here which is salted caramel. Again, that's a beautiful buildable shade. If I want to do a look that's a little bit more warm and orangey, I do always reach for that as like a base colour. I also love that the pan for this white chocolate shade is bigger because I like to use this type of colour as a base, so it's really nice that that is bigger. And then it's got a bigger kind of shimmery colour down here, which is champagne truffle, and I have on a few occasions used this one in the corners here as like a highlight colour. I didn't even have to dig it out of my collection because I've been using this every day for quite a while now. Moving on to some slightly different palettes that I've got in my collection. I love these Huda Beauty palettes, they're so nice. Now I've got here the Rose Gold Remastered palette and the Desert Dusk palette. I'll just show you the Desert Dusk palette first, that's not easy to say. And I love this little protector thing here. Does anybody else keep these, or is it just me? I'm a little bit obsessed with keeping the plastic on. But one of the things that I love about this palette and that makes it very different to the other palettes are the shimmers. Now these are really duotoned, multi-dimensional shades. Like this Twilight, they pull a different colour, so if I turn the palette there, it looks more of a magenta-y pull to it, and then when I turn it this way, it's got more of a purple undertone to it, so I love it. I also love Amethyst, and I think pairing together Amethyst and Twilight is so gorgeous. If you like wearing kind of purples, I've got green eyes and I tend to find that I suit purples more, but if you do like purples, then I would definitely say that teaming those two shades together is amazing. Now Amethyst has got a little bit of like a shimmery cast to it. Shimmery is not even the word, but it does have that gloss look to it, but I found that it does still work as a matte. If I'm going for any more of a warm orangey shade like what I showed you in the chocolate bar palette, then I will team it with Blood Moon, which is this stunning orangey shade here. But there are a lot of colours in there that I've just not got in my other palettes, and that is one of the reasons why I decided to buy this palette in the first place. But the Rose Gold Remastered palette, I looked and swatched the original Rose Gold palette and I really didn't like it. I liked the concept of it, and then she came out with the Rose Gold Remastered, and I think that that just ironed out all of the creases, all of the problematic shades that were in that original palette. She's addressed and changed the formulas and just changed things around for this Rose Gold Remastered palette, and I absolutely love it now. It's definitely what the original Rose Gold palette was supposed to be, and the shimmers in this are just amazing. I'll move this a little bit closer so you can see. I love these shades in the corner. If I've decided not to reach for an eyeshadow topper, then I will definitely go for one of these shimmers. The formula's gorgeous, and just to show you what that looks like on camera, it's so reflective, creamy, it's just gorgeous. And actually I'm really excited to have pulled this back out of my collection because I think there's a lot of daytime looks that I can create with this palette as well. So yeah, I'm really excited. In fact, I'll swatch one more for you. Which one shall I go for? Hashtag blessed. Let's just pop that on like that. Do you see how beautiful those shades are? And they look amazing over the top of those mattes. It is the most gorgeous buttery formula, and I am it feels like I've got a whole new palette there because I am so excited to get that back out again and start creating some of those lovely more glam looks. I have mentioned these Mini Obsessions palettes in my other videos, but I'm just going to give them another mention really, because these are great, particularly for anybody that doesn't want to invest in a full palette and that wants something that's a little bit smaller, and the colour stories in them really make sense. You don't really need a huge amount of experience with eyeshadows to find these really easy to use. So just a few of the ones that I've picked up here. I do have some more, but this is the Mauve Obsessions palette. which is that. It's got some more like kind of pinky undertones with a few more deep shades as well to pair them with, which is really nice. I know not everybody likes mauve, but I'm a big fan. I've got the Warm Browns Obsessions palette, which again, perfect day to day. And then the Ruby Obsessions palette, I love it for autumn and around Christmas time. I got use out of that palette. I've also got the Smoky Obsessions palette, but I've hit pan on a few of those shadows and it is just about to fall apart, so I'm not going to move that right now. But for anybody that's looking for something that's small and compact and makes sense in terms of colours, I would definitely recommend these Huda Beauty Mini Obsessions palettes. I'm going to take it right back to the old school and get out my trusty Urban Decay Naked Quad. Now back in around about 2016 I got into the Urban Decay palettes in a big way, and I still do like them, but they're definitely not my favourite anymore. So I've got this quad and in it I have the Naked Heat, which actually is a palette that I do really like, and I'll just get it out for all time's sake. But I think that that is a lovely warm palette, and it is especially nice for summer. Say if I don't want to invest a great deal of time in creating a look, I just want something a little bit more casual, then I think the Naked Heat palette is definitely one that I would reach for. The only one that I'm not that keen on in this set is the Naked 3 palette. I just thought it looked a little bit anemic, for want of a better word, but it does have some quite pretty shades in there. Again, another thing that I'm not loving about this palette is the fact that it's got quite a lot more shimmery type shades than mattes. It's kind of off balanced really, but I'll probably still reach for it every now and again. And then as a present, I think it was a couple of years ago, it might not even have been that long ago, I got this Back Talk palette, again Urban Decay, and it's quite different to the other Urban Decay palettes that I've got, so I thought, yeah, that's actually quite cool. I know this is an eyeshadow palette video, but this one does have blush shades that I have definitely used and will use in the future. I think they're really nice. And then it's got this little mirror that comes off, which I think is really cute, and we have the shadows right there. And it's got some really nice shades. I'm loving Attitude, and then Back Talk is really nice as well, that lovely pinky, quite spring and summery shade. So I do really like these colours. I think the palette in itself is cool. That bit's magnetised, which, I don't know, it's just quite a fun little palette, and I will definitely be getting out on the run up to spring and summer. And finally from Urban Decay, I've got this Moon Dust palette. Now this is very different to anything else that I've got, and I'll show you why. It's very bright, vibrant, glittery formulas. Now I would definitely run a mile from any kind of shadows that have got big chunks of glitter in them, but the formula on these shadows is actually really nice. I'll show you on the back of my hand. Now they're not the most pigmented shadows in the entire world, but I think that as a pop of colour they do work really nicely. In fact, I've not swatched that Vega colour. I'm running out of room on my hand. But there's the blue at the bottom. If I did want to create a look that's got a bit more of a pop to it, I would probably reach for this palette. But this one is really nice. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to use it all up, but it's a nice one to have in the collection. I have mentioned these ones in quite a recent video, but I'm going to mention them again. So I wanted to try out some Natasha Denona palettes. Now this is the Camel palette, and it's so pretty. Those shades are gorgeous, and I love that this is quite small and compact and I can take it around with me. But I really enjoy the shimmery shades. That one is gorgeous, and the matte shades are really lovely too. You can really tell the jump in quality from the likes of, I don't know, the Urban Decay Naked palettes to Natasha Denona palettes. It's quite a marked difference in how easy to apply it is, how much more blendable these Natasha Denona palettes are. This is the most recent palette that I've bought, and it is the Natasha Denona Bieber palette. So this one, it wasn't cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but the quality of these shadows is just so much better than the other shadows that I own in my collection. This is a beautiful balance of matte and shimmer shades, and what I want to do is to create a really timeless look for my wedding, which is coming up this year, and I want to do that by using these two palettes and potentially an eyeshadow topper, but I'm not too sure about that yet, to create a really glamorous bridal look. Looking through my collection, I've noticed that I've got these 4 Zoeva palettes, and I think these are the ones that I'm going to donate because they are very wearable shades. I've got this smoky palette, which is this one, and it's got obviously got the plastic on it, but those shades are really nice. They're very glam, but they can also be used day to day. Then I've got this Cocoa Blend palette, which the packaging for this is really lovely. It's like this, and then going into it. Then I've got the Zoeva Online palette, which is this one, and it's got some really pretty shades in there, but that one's lovely. Again, trying not to stick my fingernail in there, and that one's really pretty as well, so I think somebody will really enjoy that palette. I've got this Rose Golden Zoeva palette, which looks like this. The packaging is gorgeous. Going in, it's really true rose gold. It's so nice. These palettes don't have a mirror in them, but I don't actually think that matters, and that's got a nice balance of different shades as well, so I think that people will really enjoy those ones, and I'm excited to donate them. That brings me to the end of my little Shop My Stash eyeshadow palettes. I can't wait to use what I've got now and to try and be a lot less wasteful in 2020. Please do let me know if you're doing something similar in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!